An unbelievable December look of the month by Young Nails UK mentor, Don Arnaud. It is ear-shattering. Greg is going to take you through how to get this look done right now.
For the December nails look of the month, I'm going to be featuring a beautiful set by Dawn Wyan Mentor. She built out a beautiful set of cover pink with the edges outlined in black. Now I'm going to be showing you how to do this in two different ways. One with Mission Control gel paint, and I'm going to be cutting out the borders and filling them in with black acrylic. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and prepare Tracy's nails. We're gonna go ahead and push her cuticles back. And then what I wanna do is use an arbor band at 3,000 RPMs. I just wanna be able to lightly feather away the shine from the surface. What I like to do is just work gently around the perimeter and just lightly feather from corner to corner. Once I'm done removing shine from the surface of the nail, I'm going to be using Swipe. I'm going to cleanse the surface, removing dust, oils, and contaminants, and preparing it for protein bond application. What we want to do is we want to apply 2 coats of protein bond to ensure incredible adhesion. Give it a couple of seconds, as though I was doing all 10 nails. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and apply the second coat. Let's go ahead and build those nails. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna extend her free edges first, and then I'm going to overlay them from cuticle to free edge. I'm gonna submerge my brush. I'm going to get a nice bead. Now what I wanna be able to do is I wanna be able to dab off the excess, all right? And that way when I set this to the form, I don't have to worry about it running all over the place. I'm gonna use the body of my brush and walk it from the top. So notice I slide the sides in. What I can really focus on in the beginning, the initial stage, is actual length I want to build these out to, and then I could use the body of the brush to walk it up and over the natural nail. This is going to give me the desired length and thickness. So every time I wipe my brush, I'm draining out excess monomer. I'm working it, notice how I'm working it from the top, just to try to get this as even as I possibly can from side to side. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing with the other finger. We get a nice bead. I'm going to drain out the excess. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this right here to the edge, wipe my brush, and then again, what I want to be able to do is use the body of the brush to just kind of stretch it out to the length of desire. Once I actually have it out to that length, I could use the body of the brush to walk it up to get the side walls absolutely even. Thought process I go through when I'm actually sculpting. Stretch it out first and then go back. And then use the body of the brush to walk it up to the corner, making it absolutely flat and flush to the natural nail. So now what I'm gonna do is, while we're waiting for this to set, I'm gonna go back and fill this one. Keep this one to the side. I'm gonna keep the finger pointed down, and then what I wanna be able to do is get a large enough bead, okay? But notice I'm not setting it down right away, all right? Give it a couple of seconds, and what I wanna be able to do, I'm going to set this right to the cuticle area and release. I'm going to be able to get it to move without it running all over the place. The goal is to touch around the perimeter to try to get that as tight as you can, and then I can start brushing it from the sides. Right, and what it's going to do is hold its body. Notice how the thickness kind of stays up through the upper arch. Then I can start feathering it down below. Right, so as it starts to run down, I'll pull the sides. It keeps most of the thickness up near the stress area. And then I can actually start brushing it through. I don't need to worry about that part right now, but you can notice how tight the perimeter of the nail is. That's how we're going to get it to file with the least amount of effort. All right, so as this starts to set, I'm gonna take one more bead. I'm gonna drain this out. I'm going to set this right here to join between the first bead. I'm gonna kind of feather this up, blending it through, and then use the body of my brush to walk it from side to side. It's going to fill the remaining space. And notice I'm using the base of my brush to walk it from side to side to make it as even as I possibly can. All right. You can brush it out to smooth it out. You could use the side of my brush to make it even from the front. All I'm doing is working it into position, so that's going to make it very easy to file. Okay, let's go ahead and move to the second nail, same thing. Submerge my brush. I'm going to bounce, 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 bounce. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to wait, right? Almost a 5-second count. Slowly set this down, release, use the tip of the brush, start working around the perimeter, and then notice once it gets down to this point, I can kind of brush the sides in, then it keeps everything into place. And then I could use the body of my brush to kind of work it from side to side without having to brush everything forward. Keeping everything into place as it starts to dry, making sure that I don't have ledges. Submerge my brush, get my last bead, and again, I choose to drain it because we're applying it on top of acrylic, but you're gonna notice that when I actually set it down and I blend it back, all right, this kind of blends everything in. I clean my brush and then I use the body of the brush to fill in the space. All right, we're going to allow these to dry. We're going to file finish them into shape, and then after we are done doing that, I'm going to show you guys how to finish them off with the design. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to use your X cut, and we're going to cut trenches along the border of the free edge. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run my E file around 9,000 RPMs, and I'm just going to line up zone 1, and I'm just going to cut a straight line down the side. All right, so all I'm doing is in one direction is cutting my trench, and it's very important that we work in one direction. You don't want to go side to side. So once we cut this edge, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using my barrel, and I'm just going to come over the front. We're going to shallow out the very, very tip as well. Again, we're working in one direction. Now, what we want to be able to do, you can work in this direction here, but sometimes when you're going against the grain, it can jump. So what you can do is you can put your barrel in reverse. I'm just going to work in the opposite direction all the way to the edge, pulling towards the free edge, just like that. Okay, so once we are done, just to make sure that everything is tight, I'm going to switch out to my diamond bit. That way I don't get everything to jump. I could set my electric file to a lower speed. All right, I'm just going to be using this barrel just to smooth everything out. So that my edge is really, really sharp. All right, just like that. All right. Last but not least, if I have to come in and I have to just use my hand file just to make my edges absolutely perfect, I can do that. And now what we're ready to do is fill the color in. I'm going to be using black acrylic. I'm just going to add the acrylic into the areas that I need. using a very, very small amount. Just kind of fill the space, work on the tip a little bit more. And then what I'll do is, you can see I'm just kind of running it in, right, with it wet. That way you can kind of fill all the space all the way to the corner. Just give it a couple of seconds to set. I'm gonna do the same thing on the opposite side. Like how Tracy's turning her hand, I'm just gonna get a nice bead. I'm going to set this in with it wet. I'm just going to run this all the way to the side. It doesn't matter if it gets onto the surface because it's all going to file away. Small amount. Just add it all the way to the very edge. All right. We're going to let this dry out. And then when we buff it into shape, it's going to be absolutely perfect. All right, so what we are going to do next is we are going to add overdrive to the surface of a tile. And I want to be able to paint some really nice thin lines. So all I am doing is just outlining the edges first. I'll constantly go back and then touch the surface, and then what this will do is it'll allow me to get enough onto my brush so that I'm able to put in a really nice tight line from side to side, and then over the top here. All right, so once we actually have our lines drawn out, then I'm gonna go inside the light and freeze it. We're gonna set it inside the light for 10 seconds. All right, so what we're going to do when it comes outside is I'm going to be able to paint the edges. We just want to be able to keep it inside the lines. Let's go ahead and freeze that side. All right, let's go ahead and freeze that tip. And let's fill in the rest. What I'll do is I'll just load up the tip of my brush, and then I'll just work it just so I don't overwhelm the whole entire edge with way too much paint. All right, it's gonna go inside the light again, 10 seconds. So what I could do at this point is just use my brush to do just any fine detailing. Right, so what I'll just do is just get it really sharp along the edges. Using the very, very needle-like edge of the brush just to get it all the way up to the very top. All right, let's go ahead and freeze that. Once we have set everything, we're going to apply a nice coat of finish gel over the surface, and that finger will be done. Go inside the light, cure that for 1 minute. As soon as that one's done, I'm gonna show you how to file out the other one. So with this one right here, what I'm going to do is use my hand file just along the edges, because all we're doing is refining the bulk in place. Just really light across the whole entire surface. This is going to reduce any thickness I have around the edges. Wipe this off. I'm gonna go ahead and put finish gel over the surface of this to protect the design. Let's go ahead and set this inside the light for a final cure of 60 seconds. I'm gonna go ahead and paint out the rest of the nails. You're going to see what the final looks like after it's done.
We absolutely love making videos here at Young Nails, so don't be shy. Go in the comments, tell us what you want, and we promise we're gonna give it to you. Also, don't forget to subscribe.